The title of my speech, which I forgot to give you because I've been a lousy chairman, is Three Great Inventions That Changed the World. And there's been a lot of controversy over the years as to what is the greatest invention there's ever been by mankind that has changed the way we are and the way we work and the way we think and act. And lots of people say it was the wheel, but wherever there's been an invention, there's always been someone who was prepared to knock whether or not that was really so. And I remember seeing a cartoon of two cavemen sitting outside a cave, and one of them had made a kind of stone wheel, and it was at the bottom of the hill, and the other one said, if you'd made it square, it wouldn't have rolled away. And that's the history of inventions. Some love them, but people are always prepared to knock them. So what's your interpretation? I mean, some people say the nail because it's held so many things together, nails and screws. The compass because it got people on journeys. The printing press, of course, because it enlivened the world and gave everybody a reason to learn things. Internal combustion engine, the telephone, I don't know, light bulb, penicillin, contraceptives, changed the world in many ways. And then there's the computer, I suppose, internet, emails, Facebook, who knows. Forget all of those. I'm going to tell you about the three greatest inventions of all time that have made a huge difference to the world. Now, last week we were all moaning about the roadworks in Swindon. And I don't, because they have to do the roadworks, don't they? And they have to do them in the summer. But we should all take our hats off and remember fondly a man who was involved in roadworks called Percy Shaw. You may never have heard of him. He was born in 1890, and he died in 1976, and he had a very interesting life. He left school at 13 with almost no education. He started off as a labourer. Then he got himself involved in making things like hand mangles. You know, some of you won't remember, but women used to mangle clothes by hand, and he invented the idea of having a motor to do it. And he made a little money out of that. He bought himself a car. And one foggy night up in Yorkshire, he was born in Halifax. They're an interesting lot up in Halifax. He was driving along this foggy road and couldn't really see where he was going. And suddenly he was going around a bend and two little bright lights shone at him. And he thought maybe it was a cat or a badger or something, but something that had reflected back at him. And you're probably catching on already the idea that he had was to invent cat's eyes. And here he is, just a bloke, working man. He'd been in factories and everything else. There's his little cat's eyes. There are some more of them. And he did something pretty clever that most people didn't do in those days. He patented it. He went along to the local solicitor who happened to have some experience in doing things like that. And he patented the idea. And he made millions out of it. The patent lasted for 70 years. And he lived a simple life after that. He was just, he was a working bloke. He bought himself a big house in Halifax. He lived there. He used to go out with his mates and have a few drinks, and then they'd all come back and eat fish and chips. And that was it for him. Oh, he got a Rolls Royce, I suppose, but he lived a very simple life. So, cat's eyes were really important during the war. So they say, because there was a blackout and people could drive because they put cat's eyes in the road. And after the war, they put them everywhere, and now they're all around the world. So thumbs up for old Percy. Yeah, cat's eyes. That if you live out in the sticks like I do, and some of you do, you're grateful for cat's eyes on foggy nights or any other night. They're pretty wonderful. Good old Percy. So that's the first great invention of all time. That's just my choice. You can have yours if you want. The second one is more profound. It changed society, certainly in this country, in many ways. Changed the way we enjoyed ourselves, changed a lot of things. Those of you who are old enough, that's not many I know, but some, can remember in the 1950s that we used to have things called Smith's Crisps. Do you remember? You got a packet of Smith's Crisps and there was a little blue paper inside. And what are you nodding for? You don't. And you unscrewed the salt out of the paper and you shook it in the bag, and that meant you got one horrendously salty crisp, and the rest were never got touched. That was Smith's Crisps, and that was the way it was in British society at that time. But then, in 1954, there's some controversy over who actually invented it, but the consensus is in 1954, a guy, an Irish guy called Joe Spud Murphy, who ran a little potato company over in Ireland, he invented the idea of spraying crisps with cheese and onion flavour. And it just smashed the whole country. Everybody, every pub, every community centre, everywhere, suddenly there were flavoured crisps. And so it went on like a madness. The next thing you had were beef flavoured crisps. They're really only kind of OXO, but never mind. And people used to fight over them in the pubs because there were loads of cheese and onion ones, but the beef ones, you know. And then what did we have? Life went on, you know, the 60s, the prawn cocktail came in as, you know, the dilettantes, pre-dinner aperitif, and so they had prawn cocktail crisps, and then they had chicken crisps, and then they had goodness knows what. And now you can have any flavour you can think of, can't you? You can have chili crisps or whatever. And they changed social habits in pubs. People went for flavoured crisps, and nothing was ever the same again. So, thumbs up for good old Spud Murphy, if it was Spud. He just changed everything. They say that Gary Lineker now gets £5 million a year from Walkers for advertising their flavoured crisps on TV. £5 million a year, pretty good. There you go. So, 2 to go, 2 gone, 1 to go. This one, kind of different. This is my choice for the third. And this is something that goes on today. It's around, we'll never get over it, and it happened by accident. Way back, there was a guy working for 3M in America, a big company, and he was given the job of creating a really strong glue, and he worked with his team, and at the end of it, the glue they created was absolute rubbish. It was hopeless. Well, you could stick it something and it would just fall off. It was just no good at all. And he was called Spencer, and he worked for years to try and find a way to do something with this invention, because they spent so long on it. I mean, 3M were going to give him the sack because they spent bucketfuls of dollars. And then one night it hit him, and he just created the little device that he wanted to have, which was the post-it note. Just a post-it note. Stick it on. And it's changed the world, hasn't it? I mean, you know, the crisps were okay, but the post-it notes, well, you can go into an office today and people have them stuck around their computers. Why, I don't know. They don't do anything. So, I just want to say, it served a purpose, but kind of thumbs down for old Spencer, because he's littered the world with bits of yellow paper that people write on and stick somewhere, and then have no idea what it was, and all they needed to do was just remember it in the old-fashioned way, or maybe write it in a diary. So, thumbs down for him. A great invention, in a sense, but there you go. That's my 3. Maybe next year, maybe in topics we could have a who you think were the greatest inventions of all time. I didn't bring it up with me, but I was going to put a little yellow post-it note here and say I'm just going to stick this here in case I forget to come next week.
You should have had a post-it note.
Well, thank you, John. That was interesting.